Rain pours down on Millfield, Ohio, turning the dirt road into a river of mud. Emily Harper, an exhausted waitress after a double shift, wipes the counter of the empty diner, her weary eyes still glinting with compassion. Through the foggy glass window, she spots three triplets, Ella, Ethan, and Emma, shivering, their clothes soaked, their eyes filled with panic. Without hesitation, Emily opens the door, pulls them inside, shielding them from the storm and prying eyes. In Ethan's jacket pocket, she finds a strangely shimmering USB drive. Across the street, a millionaire in a black SUV watches her every move. What door will this act of kindness open for Emily? The rain hammers the tin roof of the roadside diner like a chaotic symphony. The wind's howl seeps through the cracks of the old windows at Millfield Diner. Emily Harper, blonde hair tied up messily, wipes the counter with a worn rag. Her calloused hands move by habit after a 12-hour shift. It's nearly 1 a.m. The neon sign outside flickers, Diner, in bold red, casting light on the shimmering puddles along Ohio's small-town dirt road. The diner is empty, save for the crackling radio playing an old country song. The singer's voice blends with the rain. Emily yawns, her pale blue eyes clouded with fatigue. But then, a small figure outside the glass stops her cold. 3 children, identical triplets, huddle under the awning. Their thin jackets are drenched, rainwater dripping from their hair onto pale faces. Ella, Ethan, and Emma, about 10 years old, their eyes wild like trapped animals. Emily's heart tightens, a familiar pang from her own days as a child wandering Columbus's poor neighborhoods, waiting for her mother to return from night shifts. Without thinking, she tosses the rag aside, pushes open the glass door. Cold wind rushes in, slapping her cheeks like a wake-up call. "Hey kids, get in here!" Her voice rings out, cutting through the rain. The children hesitate, glancing at each other, but the warm glow from the diner's fireplace pulls them in like a magnet. Emily grabs Ethan's shoulder, the middle child, guiding all 3 inside, locking the door behind them. The smell of burnt coffee and biscuits fills the air, wrapping them like an invisible blanket. Emily kneels, meeting their eyes. "Why are you out there? Where are your parents?" she asks, her voice gentle but firm, like she's spoken to other lost kids in this town. Ella, the eldest, her brown hair plastered to her forehead, mumbles, Dad told us to wait here, but he hasn't come." Ethan and Emma nod, clutching each other's hands. Their wide eyes shimmer with fear. Emily frowns, peering out at the dark road. No cars, just the faint flicker of the pawn shop sign across the street. She knows broken promises too well. Her own mother swore to come home early, only to be trapped in endless shifts. "All right," Emily says, offering a warm smile. "You stay with me. You're safe, okay?" She leads the triplets to a booth near the fireplace, draping clean towels over their shoulders. As she pulls a chair for Ethan, a small object falls from his jacket, rolling across the wooden floor. Emily bends to pick it up, a silver USB drive, unusually heavy, glinting under the neon light like a strange jewel. She furrows her brow, turning it over. No label, just a tiny etched symbol, a triangle with a spiral inside. "What's this, kid?" she asks, holding it up. Ethan flinches, snatching it back, stuffing it into his pocket. "It's nothing," he mutters, but his trembling voice betrays him. Emily doesn't press. She knows kids hide secrets when they're scared. Instead, she goes behind the counter, pouring 3 mugs of hot chocolate from the old coffee machine. Steam rises in comforting swirls. She sets the mugs before them, watching as they sip, their faces softening. Emma, the youngest, gives a shy smile. Mud on her cheek highlights her rosy flush. "You're so kind," she whispers. Emily smiles, shaking her head. "Just doing what's right, kid." But inside, unease stirs. That USB doesn't belong to an ordinary child. Across the street, in the shadow of a black SUV parked under a dim streetlight, James Carver sits motionless. His sharp brown eyes watch through the foggy window. At 42, he's the millionaire founder of Carver Tech, an Ohio tech company known for its security software. But tonight, he's not a businessman, he's a worried father. His heart pounds as he sees his 3 children safe in the diner. He grips his phone, fingers swiping the screen. "Lydia," he says when his assistant answers. "Find out everything about the woman in that diner. Now." He hangs up, his eyes fixed on Emily. Emily, unaware she's being watched, wipes her hands on her apron, glancing at the kids. They've stopped shivering, but their eyes remain wary, as if waiting for something. She looks out the window. Rain still pours, obscuring the light from the mysterious SUV. A chill runs down her spine. What secret does that USB hold, and why are the kids so afraid? Alright, dear audience, if you're watching and finding this story intriguing, comment 1, or I'm still here to keep listening. The black SUV lurks in the darkness, its headlights off, blending into the heavy rain cloaking Millfield, Ohio. Inside, James Carver sits still. His leather-gloved hands grip the steering wheel. His sharp brown eyes lock on the diner's glass door. The neon light flickers red across his angular face, highlighting wrinkles carved from years of building Carver tech from a small garage into a million-dollar tech empire. But tonight, he's not the cold CEO closing billion-dollar deals. He's a father, his heart racing as he watches his triplets, Ella, Ethan, and Emma, safe in the diner, sheltered by a stranger. James leans forward. His breath fogs the windshield. The woman Emily Harper, as Lydia's text just confirmed, wipes her hands on her apron, smiling gently at the kids. She doesn't know what she's holding. The USB in Ethan's pocket, which James told his son to guard tightly, contains the source code for Carver Tech's latest security project, a software that could transform the tech industry or destroy it if it falls into the wrong hands. James sent the kids to the diner, fleeing an unseen threat after his office received a menacing message tonight. But he didn't expect a waitress to step in, pulling his children into the light and unknowingly putting his entire world at risk. Emily, inside the diner, senses unseen eyes from the darkness. Standing behind the counter, pretending to arrange salt shakers, she pauses as the pawnshop's light across the street flickers oddly, as if someone's standing in front of it. She glances at the kids. Ella whispers to Emma, while Ethan clutches his jacket where the USB hides. She's seen that look before. Fear. Not just of the storm. It's the look of kids who know they're being hunted. Emily takes a deep breath, pushing away memories of nights running from drunks in her old neighborhood, where kindness often came with a price. She steps to the booth, setting down a plate of freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. "Eat up, kids," she says, her voice gentle but firm. "I won't let anyone bother you." Emma smiles, nibbling a cookie. Crumbs cling to her lips. But Ethan stares at the plate, his small hands trembling. "You don't understand," he mutters, his voice nearly drowned by the rain. Emily tilts her head, not pushing him to say more, but she knows she must act. She grabs a slip of paper from the counter, scribbles the diner's phone number, and presses it into Ella's hand. "If your dad doesn't show, call me, anytime." Outside, James dials his phone, his voice low and sharp as a blade. "Lydia, update." His assistant, calm but urgent, replies through the speaker. "Emily Harper, 28, waitress at Millfield Diner for 3 years. No criminal record, minor credit card debt, lives alone on Maple Street. Mother died when she was 19. No ties to any organizations." James nods, though Lydia can't see. "Dig deeper. I need to know if she's trustworthy." He hangs up, his eyes returning to Emily. She doesn't resemble the sycophants at Carver Tech, ready to betray colleagues for a big contract. She acted without knowing his kids or him, yet she protected them. That makes her dangerous, or perhaps an unexpected ally. James clenches his fist. Memories of the threatening message flood back. Hand over the code, or the kids pay the price. He sent them to the diner, thinking it was safe, but now this waitress has changed everything. She not only sheltered his kids but noticed the USB. James doesn't trust kindness in his world. Every action has a motive. Yet Emily Harper, who doesn't know him or his children, still acted. That makes her dangerous, or perhaps a rare ally. Inside the diner, Emily returns to the counter, pretending to check the coffee machine. She glances out the window. The SUV's light flashes once, then goes dark. Her heart races. She's lived in Millfield long enough to know this town isn't just home to honest farmers. She's heard rumors about Carver Tech's secret deals and people willing to do anything to steal them. She looks at the kids. Their eyes stay locked on each other, as if sharing a silent secret. James, in the SUV, opens the door. Rain splashes onto his expensive coat. He steps out, his tall figure blending into the dark. He needs to get his kids before the enemy finds them. But Emily Harper, with her act of kindness, has upended his plan. Who is she, and why does she make him feel he owes her a debt he can't repay? And before we dive back into the main story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Oh, and drop a comment below to let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear it. The diner's door swings open. The brass bell jingles like an alarm through the pouring rain. Cold wind rushes in, carrying the damp smell of Ohio earth. Emily Harper startles. Her hand holding the coffee pot freezes mid-air. A woman steps in, gray hoodie pulled up, hiding half her face. Her black boots gleam spotless despite the muddy road outside. Lydia, James Carver's assistant, stands there. Her sharp eyes scan the diner like a hawk hunting prey. She doesn't belong here, not with her confident stride, rigid posture, and a watch that costs more than Emily's yearly rent. Emily sets the coffee pot down, wiping her hands on her apron. Her eyes stay fixed on the woman. She's worked in Millfield long enough to spot those who aren't here for just a cup of coffee. The triplets, Ella, Ethan, and Emma, huddle in the booth near the fireplace. Their hot chocolate mugs have gone cold. Ethan grips his jacket where the USB hides, his eyes darting from Emily to the newcomer. Ella whispers to Emma, her voice drowned by the rain. Emily's chest tightens. She's seen those eyes before, in kids who know safety is an illusion. Lydia approaches the booth. Her boots click evenly on the wooden floor. She pulls back her hood, revealing neatly tied brown hair and a thin, calculated smile. "Hello, kids," she says, her voice sweet but cold, like ice cream melting in a broken fridge. "Your aunt's here. Your dad's waiting." She kneels, eye level with the kids, but Emily spots the falseness. Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. Her hand trembles slightly as she touches Emma's shoulder. Ethan shrinks back, clutching his jacket. Ella grips her sister's hand, eyes wary. Emily steps out from behind the counter, arms crossed, her stance solid like an oak in Millfield's fields. "Aunt, huh?" she asks, her voice even but sharp, like a blade hidden in a friendly sheath. She's seen too many scenes like this, adults lying to take kids away, sweet promises leading to bitter ends. "Where's their dad? And who are you, exactly?" Lydia straightens, her smile unwavering, but Emily catches a flicker of tension in her eyes, like a headlight flashing through rain. "I'm Lydia. I work for their father," she replies, her voice smooth as a rehearsed script. "Thank you for watching them, but I'll take them now." She reaches for Ethan, but he dodges, his pleading eyes turning to Emily. Emily doesn't budge. She grew up in a neighborhood where hesitation could mean life or death. "Hold on," she says, stepping closer, positioning herself between Lydia and the kids. "They're not going anywhere until I know their dad's here." Lydia tilts her head. Her smile fades, replaced by a cold edge. "You don't need to worry," she says, her voice lower, carrying a veiled warning. "This is family business." But Emily doesn't back down. She kneels, looking into Ella's eyes. "Sweetie, is this woman someone you know?" Ella hesitates, glancing at Ethan, then shakes her head slightly. Emily's blood runs cold. She stands, facing Lydia. "They're not going with you. Not until I see their dad." Outside, James Carver stands in the rain, his black coat soaked. His eyes lock on the scene inside the diner. He sent Lydia to retrieve the kids, but he didn't expect this waitress to be so stubborn. Emily Harper isn't just sheltering his children, she's challenging his own people. He clenches his fist, his breath blends with the rain. The USB in Ethan's pocket is the key to Carvertech's future, and now, a stranger stands between him and it. Inside, Lydia crosses her arms. Her eyes flick from Emily to the kids, as if calculating her next move. "You're making this more complicated than it needs to be," she says, her voice cold as the rain outside. Emily smiles, but her eyes are steel. "Good, I like complicating things when kids are involved." She glances out the window. The SUV's light flashes once, then goes dark. Her heart pounds, but she keeps her voice steady. "Looks like their dad's about to show up." James pushes the door open. Rain drips from his coat onto the floor. Lydia turns, her eyes flashing with brief panic. Emily stands firm, arms still crossed, ready to protect the kids at any cost. Who is this man? And why does his presence make both Lydia and the kids so tense? The door of Emily Harper's small apartment shakes under 3 sharp knocks. The sound cuts through the steady rain falling on Maple Street, Millfield. It's nearly 2 a.m. Emily, just back from her shift at the diner, stands frozen in her cramped kitchen. Her wet sneakers leave muddy streaks on the old wooden floor. She's just shed her apron. Her thin sweater clings to her back with sweat when the knocks jolt her. Her heart races. No one visits at this hour. Not in this small town where doors lock by 9 p.m. She peers through the peephole. Her blood chills. A tall man in a black coat, glistening with rain, stands there. His sharp face is shadowed under a fedora, his brown eyes cold as Ohio River pebbles. Emily grips the deadbolt. Her breath shortens. She recalls hours earlier at the diner when James Carver walked in, confirming he was Ella, Ethan, and Emma's father. He took the kids with a curt nod. No thanks. Just a piercing look that made her shiver. But it wasn't his eyes that unnerved her most. It was Ethan clutching his jacket, where the mysterious USB lay, as if it was his only lifeline. "Who's there?" she calls, her voice stronger than she feels, her hand still on the bolt. "James Carver." A low, controlled voice answers from the other side. "We need to talk." Emily takes a deep breath. Memories of being dragged into trouble by her kindness flood back, like the time she paid for a stranger's gas, only to face threats for repayment. But curiosity, the thing that always gets her in trouble, wins. She opens the door just enough to see his face clearly. James stands there, tall and imposing, his expensive coat a statement of power in her dingy apartment hallway. "What do you want?" Emily asks, arms crossed, hiding the tremble in her fingers. James doesn't move. His eyes lock on her, as if reading every line of her life story. "You helped my kids tonight," he says, his voice flat, emotionless. "I don't let acts like that go unrewarded." Emily raises an eyebrow. A wry smile flickers. "Rewarded? I don't need your money, if that's what you're offering." She's seen men like James, those who think money buys everything, even kindness. James tilts his head, his gaze unwavering. "Not money," he says, pulling a thick cream envelope from his coat, placing it on her rickety kitchen table. "A job. At Carver Tech. Public relations manager. Reporting directly to me." Emily blinks. A laugh escapes before she can stop it. "You're kidding? I'm a waitress, not some Ivy League grad. What do you need me for?" But inside, a wave stirs 6 figures, an escape from grueling shifts, from this chilly apartment. James steps inside, uninvited. His presence fills the small room. "I need someone who understands people, not just numbers," he says, his voice lower, as if admitting something he doesn't want to. "You saw my kids, not just 3 lost children. You protected them, not knowing who they were." "That's rare." Emily swallows. His words touch a deep part of her, the part that believes kindness is the only thing keeping her upright through hard days. She glances at the envelope. Its weight pulls at her. "Why me?" she asks, her voice soft but sharp. James holds her gaze. For the first time, something flickers in his eyes, not softness, but acknowledgement. "Because you didn't flinch standing up to Lydia. Because you didn't let my kids go without questions. Because you saw them, not me." Emily's chest tightens. She wants to refuse, to hold on to her pride. But 6 figures mean no more overdue bills, no more nights counting pennies for milk. She picks up the envelope. Her fingers tremble slightly. "I'll think about it," she mutters, her eyes not leaving James. He nods, a brief gesture, then turns away, leaving her with the rain and the weight of an opportunity she's not sure she wants. The door closes, but his footsteps echo in her mind. Where will this offer lead her? And what secrets of Carver Tech await? Are you still here, dear audience? Take a moment to relax, maybe grab a glass of water, and keep listening to this gripping story. Comment 1 if you find it intriguing. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Early sunlight pierces the thin fog, glinting off the glass facade of Carver Tech's headquarters, a modern 3-story building amid golden wheat fields on the outskirts of Millfield, Ohio. Emily Harper steps through the revolving door. Her new discount store heels click on the marble floor, echoing like an intruder's footsteps. She wears a navy blazer. The pencil skirt hugs her tightly, making her feel like she's playing someone else, not the Millfield diner waitress who wiped counters raw. James Carver's envelope, with its 6-figure offer, brought her here, but every glance from the lobby staff reminds her she doesn't belong. Emily clutches her cheap handbag, chin high, hiding her nerves. This building is another world, Air conditioning blasts cold air. LED screens display financial charts. Tailored suits move like sharks in a sea of power. She feels curious, skeptical, even scornful looks from employees unused to a small-town girl entering their domain. A woman with platinum hair and a high bun brushes past, flashing a fake smile, whispering, "Waitress," and Carver to a colleague. Emily catches the words but ignores them. She's used to whispers from diner days, when people thought she couldn't hear. James Carver waits in his corner office, a spacious room with windows overlooking endless wheat fields. His walnut desk is nearly bare, save for a small photo frame. Ella, Ethan, and Emma beaming in a park. He doesn't look up as Emily enters, his fingers gliding over a tablet. "You're early," he says, his voice flat, as if expected but noteworthy. Emily sits on the leather chair opposite, keeping her back straight. "I don't like keeping people waiting," she replies, her voice light but edged with defiance. James finally looks up, his sharp brown eyes scan her. "Good, because we don't have time to waste." He slides a folder across the desk. Its dark blue cover bears the CarverTech logo. "You start with the communications team today. Our new security project is drawing attention, not the good kind. You'll help shape the narrative." Emily frowns, opening the folder. Pages brim with tech jargon, encryption, protocols, sensitive data. She thinks of Ethan's USB, its spiral symbol. "I'm no tech expert," she says, her voice blunt. "You know that." James leans forward, elbows on the desk. "I didn't hire you to code. I hired you to talk to people, reporters, investors, the public. They don't care about algorithms, they care about feelings." Emily feels a stir in her chest. His words echo the night she sheltered the kids, seeing their fear. But his gaze carries weight, as if testing her worth. She flips through the folder. Her eyes catch a bold line, Project Helix securing the future. The word helix stops her. She recalls the spiral on Ethan's USB. Coincidence? She glances at James, but his face reveals nothing. "How important is this project?" she asks, her voice low, cautious. James holds her gaze. A brief silence stretches. "Important enough that some want it gone," he says, his voice deep as last night's rain. "And you'll help make sure that doesn't happen." Emily nods, though unease rises within her. She's lived through days when truth hid behind smiles and contracts, like when her old landlord raised rent because the market demanded it. CarverTech isn't just a company, it's a maze, and she's stepped in without a map. As she leaves James's office, Lydia stands in the hallway, tablet in hand. Her cold eyes mirror the night she appeared at the diner. "Welcome to CarverTech, Harper," Lydia says, her voice smooth but sharp as a blade. "Don't mess it up." Emily smiles, but her eyes are hard. "I don't plan to, but I won't let anyone lead me by the nose either." Lydia raises an eyebrow, a flicker of amusement passing, then walks away. Emily stands, folder in hand, feeling like she's boarded a ship headed for a storm. Can she navigate this maze? Or has she stepped into the heart of CarverTech's storm? The large screen in CarverTech's boardroom lights up. A chart of sharp curves glows on the glass wall, like the pulse of a panicked giant. Emily Harper sits at the end of the long table, clutching the Project Helix folder. She tries not to flinch under the cold stares of the executives around her. Sunlight streams through the window, across the wheat fields outside, but the room feels like a winter day in Millfield, Ohio. Her navy blazer makes her feel like an imposter among tailored suits and polished corporate smiles. It's her third day at CarverTech, and she's been thrust into a high-stakes meeting where the fate of hundreds of workers hangs in the balance. Richard Vaughn, the COO, stands. His voice booms like a hammer on an anvil. "We need to cut costs. The Millfield factory can be outsourced to Mexico, saving 30% on labor." He points to the chart. Numbers dance like knives. Emily's stomach twists. She knows that factory, her mother worked there, standing at the assembly line until her lungs weakened from metal dust. Those workers aren't just numbers. They're neighbors, people who bought her coffee at the diner, leaving tips in carefully counted coins. She glances at James Carver, seated at the head of the table, his eyes cold, revealing nothing. Lydia, beside him with her tablet, takes rapid notes. Her glance at Emily feels like a warning. The other executives nod to Vaughn. Murmurs of agreement ripple like waves. But Emily can't stay silent. She takes a deep breath, standing. Her heels click lightly on the marble floor. "Wait," she says, her voice clear, slicing through the heavy air. All eyes turn to her, some surprised, some scornful. Vaughn raises an eyebrow, his thin smile sharp as a razor. "Miss Harper, something to say?" he asks, his voice smooth but mocking. Emily grips the folder. Her heart pounds, but she thinks of Ella, Ethan, and Emma, their scared eyes in the rain, and how she stood between them and Lydia. If she could face a stranger for those kids, she can face a room full of sharks. "Outsourcing sounds cost-effective," she begins, her voice steady but sharp. "But we're talking about 200 families in Millfield. Lose their jobs, they lose homes, hope. Carver Tech built its name on trust. How do we convince the public to trust our product if we abandon the community that built us?" The room falls silent. Only the hum of the air conditioner remains. Vaughn smirks, shaking his head. "Miss Harper, this isn't a diner. Emotions don't run profits." But Emily doesn't back down. She flips open the folder, pointing to a page she studied last night in her note-strewn apartment. "Really? Your own report shows Millfield's productivity is 15% higher than past outsourced factories. Quality drops, customers notice, and if the press learns we're firing local workers to chase profits, your Project Helix will be buried before it launches." James raises an eyebrow. His eyes leave his tablet for the first time. Lydia stops typing. Her glance at Emily holds not hostility, but curiosity. Vaughn opens his mouth, but Emily presses on, her voice stronger, as if she's back at the diner's counter, protecting a child from a stranger. "Invest in the workers. Offer overtime. Improve conditions. They'll work harder, and the public will see Carver Tech as a company that cares about people, not just money." She stops, her breath heavy, feeling like she's run through the wheat fields outside. Vaughn sits, his eyes darkening but silent. The other executives exchange glances, some nod faintly. James taps his fingers on the table. The small sound echoes. "Miss Harper has a point," he says, his voice low but commanding attention. "We'll reconsider outsourcing. Prepare a new report, Vaughn." Emily's chest lightens, but she knows Vaughn's glare burns into her, like a wolf waiting for its moment. She leaves the meeting. Her hands tremble slightly, still clutching the folder. The glass hallway reflects her figure, a stranger in this world. But as she glances back, James's eyes follow not with doubt, but something like respect. Can she keep standing tall, or is this challenge just the start of bigger storms? The boardroom door slams shut. The sound echoes like a gunshot through Carver Tech's gleaming glass hallway. Emily Harper steps out. Her heels click on the marble floor, each step a declaration that she's still standing. Sweat beads on her forehead, but her chest feels lighter, as if she's run through the wheat fields outside and outlasted a storm. Just minutes ago, she silenced Richard Vaughn, the arrogant COO, with sharp arguments about keeping the Millfield factory. The numbers from his own report, dissected in her note-filled apartment last night, became her weapon. She used them to defend hundreds of workers, people she knows by face and name from her days serving coffee at the diner. Emily pauses by the hallway window, gazing at the golden wheat fields under Ohio's Sunday. She still grips the Project Helix folder, its pages creased from her tight hold during the meeting. The word Helix haunts her, recalling the spiral symbol on Ethan's USB from that rainy night. She's not sure if it's connected, but her gut, the instinct that kept her alive in her rough neighborhood, whispers that everything at Carver Tech is linked, like invisible threads in a spider's web. James Carver emerges from the boardroom. His tall figure fills the space. He doesn't look at her immediately, adjusting his suit jacket. His sharp brown eyes scan the hallway like he controls everything. "You did well," he says, his voice low, not warm but enough to make Emily pause. She turns, raising an eyebrow. "Well, I just said what needed saying." James tilts his head. A faint smile flickers, not a CEO's smile, but like someone who's seen an unexpected move in a chess game. Most people wouldn't dare speak to Vaughn like that. He's not used to being challenged. Emily shrugs, hiding the pride creeping within. "I'm not here to make friends with him. I'm here because you said I could make a difference." Her words carry a hint of the diner, where she bantered with tough customers while keeping a smile. James nods. His gaze sweeps over her, not judging, but as if seeing a new piece in his larger puzzle. "You did. The board's reconsidering outsourcing. That's a win, Harper. She smiles, but it fades as Lydia appears at the hallway's end, tablet in hand. Her cold eyes mirror the night she tried to take the kids from the diner. Congratulations, Harper, Lydia says, her voice smooth but sharp as a razor. But don't let it go to your head. Vaughn doesn't forget easily. Emily feels a chill down her spine. She's faced similar warnings from diner bosses who thought they could scare her silent. Thanks for the advice, she replies, her voice light but firm. But I'm not afraid of men like Vaughn. Lydia raises an eyebrow. A spark of amusement flashes before she walks away. Emily feels she's crossed another invisible threshold. Her boardroom victory wasn't just about saving workers. It put her in the crosshairs of men like Vaughn, who don't lose gracefully. She thinks back to that rainy night, sheltering Ella, Ethan, and Emma. Their eyes held a bigger secret. The USB, Project Helix, James's gaze all revolve around something she doesn't yet understand. James steps closer. His voice drops, almost a whisper. You've proven you can handle pressure, but this is just the start. Project Helix needs you more than you know. He pauses, his eyes lock on her, as if weighing whether to reveal more. Emily's heart races. She wants to ask about Helix, about the USB, but her gut says the time isn't right. I'll do my job well, she says, her voice firm, but I need the truth, not just pieces. James nods, a brief gesture, then walks away, leaving her alone in the hallway. Sunlight streams through the window, but Emily feels a shadow growing. This victory is real, but it's like opening a door she doesn't know leads where. Will the truth about Project Helix lift her up, or pull her into a more dangerous game? Emily Harper's computer screen flickers. Its cold blue light illuminates her face in her small Carvertech office. It's 10 p.m. The wheat fields outside are swallowed by Ohio's dark night, with only faint highway lights piercing through. She sits alone, her blonde hair loosely tied, her pale blue eyes tired after a long day reading Project Helix reports. Then, an email pops up. Its red subject line screams, "Leaked information. Project Helix." Her heart pounds like a drum in her chest. She clicks. The first line freezes her blood. Emily Harper sent sensitive data to a local reporter. She never sent this email. Her name is attached to a file detailing Helix's technical specs, terms she barely understands but knows are valuable. The file lists potential security flaws, enough to crash Carvertech's stock if it reaches the press. Emily leans back. The leather chair creaks. Her breath shortens, like when she fled drunks in her old neighborhood. Someone framed her, with the precision of a hunter setting a trap. She glances at the dark hallway. The flickering fluorescent lights feel like a warning. She thinks of Richard Vaughn, his cold eyes in the meeting when she challenged his outsourcing plan. She recalls Lydia's warning. Vaughn doesn't forget easily. But how could he do this? She's just a new employee, a former waitress, not a real threat. Or has she stumbled onto a bigger secret tied to Ethan's USB, with its spiral symbol like Helix? Emily opens her desk drawer, pulling out a note from the night she met the kids. She'd sketched the symbol from memory. It matches the logo on the Helix folder perfectly. She stands, pacing the hallway. Her heels echo like a fleeing heartbeat. She needs to find James Carver. He's the only one who can confirm she didn't send that email, but his office is dark, locked tight. She turns back. Her pulse quickens as she spots Lydia at the hallway's end, tablet in hand. Its screen light casts a mask-like glow on her face. "Working late, Harper?" Lydia asks, her voice smooth but laced with mockery. Emily clenches her fists, keeping her voice steady. "What do you know about this email?" she asks, holding up her phone, the red subject line glaring. Lydia tilts her head. Her eyes scan like she's reading a card. "Email. Oh, Harper, you're making waves." She walks away, leaving Emily feeling like she's been pushed off a cliff. Emily returns to her office. Her hands shake as she tries to trace the email's source. She's no tech expert, but years of watching clumsy diner customers with phones taught her to read people. And this email came from an internal account, with traces leading to Carvertech's servers. Someone inside did this, and they want her branded a traitor. She thinks back to that rainy night, sheltering Ella, Ethan, and Emma. Their eyes held a bigger secret. That USB wasn't just a trinket, it's the heart of everything. She opens her computer, searching for Helix details in the internal system, but her access is blocked instantly. The screen flashes red. Access denied. Her chest tightens, as if the room's air has been sucked out. She's not just framed, she's being isolated. She stands, grabbing her coat, deciding to find James in the morning. But as she leaves the building, a car's lights flash in the parking lot, then go dark. She freezes, feeling like that rainy night when she sensed unseen eyes from James's SUV. But this isn't James. A tall figure stands in the shadows, watching her. Emily grips her bag, walking faster. Her heels ring in the quiet night. Who sent that email? And what do they want from her by pushing her into this dangerous line? Rain falls again on Millfield, Ohio. Its drops hit the Carver Tech office windows like tiny bullets, stirring the early morning silence. Emily Harper stands before Richard Vaughn's desk, her arms crossed tightly. Her pale blue eyes burn with resolve. The crumpled note with the spiral symbol copied from Ethan's USB sits in her coat pocket, a reminder she can't back down. Last night's leaked email, with her name tied to Helix's sensitive data, flashes in her mind like a warning light in the dark. She knows it's no accident, and Vaughn, with his cold eyes and smug smile from the prior meeting, is her prime suspect. Vaughn sits behind his desk. His leather chair swivels slightly as he leans back, fingers tapping rhythmically on the ebony surface. His office is vast but stifling. Shelves are packed with reports, and a large screen on the wall displays financial charts red as blood. "Miss Harper," he says, his voice smooth but sharp as a blade. "I didn't expect you so early. Is there a problem?" Emily's heart pounds, but she stands firm, like she did blocking Lydia to protect the kids that rainy night. "I know you're behind that email," she says, her voice even but cutting, slicing through the air like a sword. She tosses a printed copy of the email onto his desk. The line, "Emily Harper sent sensitive data," glares red like an accusation. Vaughn raises an eyebrow. His thin smile doesn't waver. "Accusing me, Harper? Careful. You're just a waitress plucked from a roadside diner." His words sting like a slap, but Emily doesn't blink. She's heard similar scorn from drunken diner patrons and learned not to let it shake her. "What are you covering up by pinning this on me?" she asks, stepping closer. Her eyes lock on him. "Project Helix has issues, doesn't it? And you're scared I'll find out." Vaughn smirks, standing. He towers over her, but Emily doesn't budge. She thinks of the USB, of Ethan's scared eyes, and how James looked at her with rare respect after the meeting. "You're going too far, Harper," Vaughn says, his voice lower, carrying a warning. "Carver Tech isn't a place for you to play detective." Emily tilts her head, a wry smile flickers. "Really? Because I think you're scared I'll find something like why 3 kids were running in the rain with a USB marked with Helix's symbol." Her words hit like a stone in a still lake. She sees Vaughn's eyes narrow for a second before he regains composure. "You don't know what you're talking about," he says, but his voice loses its smoothness, like a car derailing. She steps closer, her voice low but sharp. "I don't need to know everything, but I know you want me out, and I won't go easily." Vaughn clenches his fists, his eyes darken, like a storm approaching. But before he can respond, the office door swings open. James Carver steps in, his black suit pristine. His sharp brown eyes scan both of them. "Enough," he says, his voice low but echoing, like thunder drowning the rain outside. Emily turns, her heart races. James looks at her, then Vaughn. His gaze cuts like a blade. "Harper, out," he says, not a command but a shield. Emily hesitates, wanting to stay, to force Vaughn to confess, but James's look stops her. She nods, stepping out, but not before giving Vaughn a final glance. Her eyes say, "This isn't over." She stands in the hallway, her breath heavy. The rain echoes through the window. James and Vaughn remain inside, door closed, but she hears James's voice, low and sharp, like a warning. She grips the note in her pocket, the spiral symbol a puzzle yet unsolved. Will James stand with her, or has she pushed herself into a battle she can't win? Part 10. The Truth Revealed. The glass door to Carver Tech's basement clicks open, the small, sharp sound like a lock unfastening a buried secret. Emily Harper descends the steel stairs. Flickering fluorescent lights overhead illuminate her loose blonde hair and sweat-dampened coat. It's midnight. Millfield, Ohio. Outside is silent. save for the wind whistling through the wheat fields. She clutches a different USB, not Ethan's, but a copy found in her desk drawer, hidden under innocuous files. It bears the same spiral symbol from that rainy night. Her gut tells her it holds answers to the email framing her. Emily sneaked into the basement after overhearing two technicians at lunch, whispering about an old archive room where sensitive project files are stored. Her system access remains locked since the email incident, but she knows the basement holds something. Her heart pounds as she weaves through a maze of dusty servers and lockers, her sneakers silent on the concrete floor. The air smells of metal and neglect, like the old factory where her mother worked. She thinks of Ella, Ethan, and Emma, their scared eyes in the diner, and the weight of the USB they carried. Whatever Project Helix is, it's worth enough to frame her. She finds a terminal in the corner. Its dark screen hums faintly. Plugging in the USB, she holds her breath as the screen flickers, prompting a login. She has no password, but years of watching diner customers fumble with phones taught her tricks. She types Helix 2025, a guess based on the project name and year. The screen blinks. A folder opens, revealing files labeled Helix Prototype, Security Flaws, and Test Logs. Her fingers tremble as she clicks the first file. A diagram appears, showing a complex algorithm for global data security, but red-marked flaws highlight vulnerabilities someone once hidden. The truth hits like a cold gust. Project Helix isn't just a product. It's a revolutionary system that could lock or unlock entire economies. But its flaws, if exposed, could ruin Carver Tech and anyone tied to it. Ethan's USB must hold a copy of this data, and someone likely Vaughn wants it buried, even if it means framing Emily as a traitor. She scrolls further, finding a log from the night the kids ran to the diner. Data transferred to external device. Unauthorized access detected. Her stomach twists. The kids weren't just fleeing a storm, they were escaping someone inside Carver Tech. Footsteps echo behind her, sharp and deliberate. Emily yanks out the USB, slipping it into her pocket as she turns. Lydia stands at the stairs' base, her silhouette framed by flickering light. Her tablet glows like a weapon. "Harper," she says, her voice smooth but threatening. "You're somewhere you shouldn't be." Emily's pulse races, but she stands firm, back against the terminal. "And you're following me," she retorts, her voice steady despite fear clawing her chest. "Why? Scared I'll find what you and Vaughn are hiding?" Lydia's lips curve, but her eyes are cold. "You're smart, Harper, but not smart enough to know when to stop." She steps closer. Her heels click like a countdown. Emily thinks of the night she sheltered the kids, how Ethan clutched the USB like a lifeline. She won't back down now. "I know enough," she says, her voice low but firm. "Helix has flaws, and someone's trying to cover them up by blaming me." Lydia tilts her head, like a predator sizing up prey. "You're playing a dangerous game," she says, her voice a whisper. Before Emily can reply, a shadow moves behind Lydia, taller, silent, commanding. James Carver appears, his face half lit under the fluorescent glow. His eyes lock on Emily. "Lydia," he says, his voice cutting through the tension like a blade. "Leave us." Lydia hesitates. Her jaw tightens. Then she turns, climbing the stairs. Her heels echo like a retreating storm. Emily faces James. Her heart pounds. His presence is both a lifeline and a threat. "You know about the email," she says. Not a question, but a challenge. James doesn't blink, his gaze steady. "I know more than you think," he says, his voice low, heavy with unspoken secrets. Emily grips the USB in her pocket. Its edges dig into her palm. The truth is closer, but so is the danger. What does James know? And will he protect her or sacrifice her to save his empire? The window of Emily Harper's small apartment rattles under a fierce wind gust sweeping through Millfield, Ohio, as if the town itself whispers its secrets. It's nearly 1 a.m. Emily sits curled in her worn armchair. The cheap table lamp casts light on the note with the spiral symbol copied from the USB she found at Carver Tech. That USB, now in her coat pocket by the door, holds data on Helix's flaws, making her a target of someone inside the company, perhaps Vaughn, or even Lydia. After her basement confrontation with James Carver, his words, "I know more than you think," echo in her mind, like a puzzle without a solution. A soft but urgent knock jolts her. Her hand crumples the note further. "Who's here at this hour?" She stands, stepping lightly to the door. Her heart pounds like the night James appeared with his six-figure offer. Peering through the peephole, her breath catches. Ethan, the triplet boy, stands there, his oversized gray hoodie soaked with rain. His brown eyes glint with worry. Emily opens the door, pulling him inside. Her eyes scan the dark hallway to ensure no one followed. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" she whispers, shutting the door. The lock clicks like a vow. The boy shivers, not just from cold. "Miss Emily," he says, his voice small but resolute, "I had to tell you before things get worse." Emily kneels, eye level with him, like the night she sheltered him and his siblings at the diner. She recognizes that look, fear mixed with determination, like when he clutched the USB in the rain. "Tell me, kid," she says, her voice gentle but firm, like soothing sad diner patrons with their stories. Ethan pulls another USB from his pocket, smaller, without the spiral but familiar. "I took it from Dad's office," he says, his eyes darting around the apartment as if someone's listening. "It has what you need about Helix, why they're blaming you." Emily's chest tightens. She takes the USB. Her fingers tremble slightly. "When did you take this?" she asks, keeping her voice calm. Ethan bites his lip. His eyes drift. "The night we ran. Dad doesn't know, but I heard Mr. Vaughn tell someone they need to deal with you before you find the truth." Emily stands. Her mind reels. Ethan, a 10-year-old, has become her unexpected ally, carrying the piece she needs to confront Vaughn. She thinks back to that rainy night, how he clutched the first USB, and realizes the kids weren't just fleeing a storm, they were guarding a secret bigger than Carver Tech. "Are you in danger, Ethan?" she asks, her voice low. Her eyes lock on him. Ethan shakes his head, but his eyes aren't convincing. "I'm fine, but you have to be careful. They know you have the other USB." She leads Ethan to the armchair, handing him a warm glass of water from the kitchen. "Why trust me?" she asks, her voice soft but curious. Ethan looks at her. His eyes shine, as if seeing something adults miss. "Because you didn't let Lydia take us. You stood up for us, even though you didn't know who we were." His words touch a deep part of Emily, where she believes kindness is the only thing keeping her steady through tough days. She plugs Ethan's USB into her old laptop. The screen flickers as a file opens. It contains internal emails between Vaughn and an anonymous account, discussing neutralizing Harper and hiding Helix flaws before launch. Her heart races. This is the proof she needs, but it pulls her deeper into a dangerous maze. The rain outside intensifies, like a warning. She looks at Ethan, curled in the armchair. His eyes hold hope, but also fear. Emily grips the USB, feeling like she's holding a ticking bomb. She knows the next step will decide everything for her, for Ethan, and for the truth about Project Helix. Can she use this evidence to turn the tables, or will it push her and Ethan into greater danger? The sky over Millfield, Ohio burns blood red. The sunset stains the wheat fields like a sea of fire, reflecting through Carver Tech's glass windows. Emily Harper stands in the main boardroom. Her heart pounds like war drums. Her hands clutch Ethan's USB, a ticking bomb holding proof of Richard Vaughn's plot. On the large screen ahead, internal emails between Vaughn and an anonymous account glow. Each line a knife exposing his plan to hide Project Helix's flaws and frame her. The board sits around the table. Their eyes waver between shock and doubt. James Carver stands at the head, his face a statue, revealing nothing but sharp brown eyes locked on her. Emily takes a deep breath, feeling like she's on a cliff's edge. She sneaked into the system before dawn, using Ethan's USB to regain access and prepare this presentation. Every word she's about to say could save her or destroy her. "Board," she begins, her voice clear, cutting through the heavy air. "Project Helix is Carver Tech's future, but it's being sabotaged from within." She points to the screen, where Vaughn's email glares like an accusation. "Richard Vaughn tried to pin a data leak on me to hide Helix's flaws that could ruin the company and harm millions." Vaughn leaps up, his chair creaks. His face flushes as red as the sky outside. "Slander," he roars, pointing at Emily. "She's the traitor, a clueless waitress climbing with lies." But Emily doesn't flinch. She's faced insults at the diner, from drunken patrons to stingy customers, and knows how to stand her ground. "Really?" she retorts, her voice sharp as a blade. Then why was this email sent from your internal account, with traces leading straight to Carver Tech's servers? The room falls silent. Only the rain beginning outside taps the glass like a giant's pulse. The directors exchange glances. Some whisper, some shake their heads. Lydia, in the corner with her tablet, her cold eyes scan Emily, but this time without the mocking smile, only tension. Emily presses a button on the console. The screen shifts to another file from Ethan's USB. A recording of Vaughn's voice, clear, discussing handling Harper and ensuring Helix launches without anyone knowing the truth. Vaughn steps back, his eyes panicked, like a cornered animal. "It's fabricated," he shouts, but his voice trembles, losing its usual arrogance. Emily turns to James, her eyes not pleading but challenging. "You said I needed the truth," she says, her voice low but resonant. "This is the truth. Vaughn wants to sabotage your company, and I'm the only one standing in the way." James doesn't reply immediately. His eyes scan the screen, then Vaughn, as if weighing a final judgment. Suddenly, the boardroom door bursts open. Ethan rushes in, his hoodie soaked. His brown eyes blaze with resolve. "Miss Emily's telling the truth," he yells, his child's voice powerful, startling the room. Emily's heart tightens. She told Ethan to stay safe at her apartment, but he escaped, unable to let her face this alone. "I heard Mr. Vaughn talk about hurting her." Ethan points at Vaughn, his small finger steady. "And I know Dad will believe her." James steps forward, placing a hand on Ethan's shoulder. His eyes soften for a moment, but when they turn to Vaughn, they're steel. "Vaughn," he says, his voice low like thunder. "Get out. We'll deal with this." Vaughn opens his mouth, but James's look silences him. He leaves. His tall figure shrinks, like a ship sinking in a storm. The board erupts in murmurs, like rising waves. Emily stands, breathing heavily, the USB still in her hand. Ethan grabs her hand, small but warm, a reminder of why she started this kindness to 3 kids in the rain. But as she looks at James, his eyes hold a secret, as if the story isn't over. Will this victory protect her and Ethan, or is a greater threat waiting? Emily Harper steps out of the boardroom, her heels click on the marble floor, each step heavy with the weight of her hard-won victory. Ethan's USB, still in her coat pocket, is now a symbol of the truth exposed. Richard Vaughn's plot crumbled before the board, but the air remains heavy, like Millfield's wheat fields after a downpour. Ethan walks beside her. His brown eyes glint with relief mixed with worry. His small hand grips hers, as if afraid she'll vanish. The board suspended Vaughn. James Carver ordered an internal investigation, but James's look as he left the meeting cold and cryptic haunts Emily. She senses the shadow of secrets yet unrevealed. Her victory feels like a small crack in a massive iceberg. As she and Ethan enter the elevator, its doors close with a warning-like thud. "Miss Emily," Ethan whispers, his voice small but firm. "Dad will protect us, right?" Emily smiles, but her heart weighs like lead. She's not sure whose side James is on. The elevator opens to the main lobby. Lydia stands there, tablet in hand, her eyes no longer cold but curious. "You did what no one expected, Harper," Lydia says, her voice smooth, free of mockery. "But do you think it's over?" Emily pauses, her eyes lock on Lydia. "Not yet," she replies, her voice low but certain, "but I'm not afraid to find what's next." Lydia tilts her head. A faint smile flickers, then she walks away, leaving Emily feeling she's passed another test. She leads Ethan outside. The sunset has given way to darkness, and the rain has stopped, leaving shimmering puddles on the sidewalk. She guides him to her beat-up sedan, a relic from her diner days. As she starts the car, her eyes flick to the rearview mirror. Her heart stops. A black SUV sits in the parking lot's corner. Its headlights flash once, then go dark, like the night she met the kids. She grips the wheel, staying calm to avoid scaring Ethan. "You okay?" he asks, his voice worried. Emily nods, forcing a smile. "Just tired, Ethan. Sit tight." Driving to her apartment, her mind races. She recalls that rainy night, sheltering Ella, Ethan, and Emma. The first USB pulled her into this maze. Today's evidence defeated Vaughn, but it also put her in the sights of others, stronger, stealthier. Project Helix isn't just a product, It's a world changer, and its flaws are secrets someone would kill to hide. She glances at Ethan, staring out the window, his eyes sad, as if he knows something she hasn't seen. At the apartment, Emily double-checks the lock, a habit from her rough neighborhood days. She lets Ethan in, flips on the light, and checks her laptop for emails. A new message, no sender, just one line. "You've gone too far, Harper. Stop, or the kids will pay." The threat chills the room. She shivers. She looks at Ethan, fiddling with his wet hoodie on the armchair. She can't let him or Ella and Emma face danger because of her kindness. She sits beside Ethan, her voice gentle but firm. "You were so brave," she says. "But from now on, let me handle it, okay?" Ethan nods, but his eyes remain worried. Emily stands, tucking the USB into her coat. It feels like a double-edged blade. She beat Vaughn, but the cost of victory is clear, a new, bigger threat, and a question of trust in James Carver. She looks out the window. Millfield's darkness swallows the light. A car passes slowly, no lights. Can she protect Ethan and herself, or will the truth she exposed lead them to an unforeseen end? The apartment in Millfield, Ohio, is eerily quiet. Only the wall clock's ticking echoes, like the heartbeat of a town recovering from a storm. Emily sits at the kitchen table. Her hands cradle a cold coffee mug, her pale blue eyes tired but resolute. Ethan's USB lies on the table, beside the note with the spiral symbol, now a mark of her fragile victory. Last night's threatening email, "Stop, or the kids will pay," lingers in her mind, like the wind's hiss through the wheat fields. Ethan sleeps on the armchair, his gray hoodie curled around him like a cocoon. Emily hasn't let him out of her sight since bringing him from Carver Tech, where she exposed Vaughn's plot to the board. Vaughn's suspended, and James promised to protect her, but his promise feels thin as the light outside. She recalls James's eyes sharp, cryptic, like a man playing a chess game bigger than her or Carver Tech. She grips the mug. It's like standing on a bridge over a chasm, unsure if it leads to safety or collapse. A soft knock startles her. Her hand freezes on the mug. She stands, stepping lightly to the door, glancing at Ethan to ensure he's still asleep. Through the peephole, her breath catches. Ella and Emma, the triplet girls, stand shivering in thin coats. Their brown eyes, identical to Ethan's, hold worry but also hope. Emily opens the door, pulling them in, hugging them tightly, like she did that rainy night at the diner. "Why are you here?" she whispers, her voice gentle but alert. Ella, the calmer one, holds Emma's hand, speaking softly. "Dad sent us. He said you're the only one we can trust." Emily's heart tightens. James Carver sent them here, but why? She leads the girls to the kitchen, pulling cookies from an old tin and setting them down. "Does your dad know what's going on?" she asks, her eyes locked on Ella. The girl nods, her gaze flicks to Ethan, sleeping. "Dad said Helix was his idea, but Mr. Vaughn did something wrong. Dad wants you to keep this USB." Emma, usually silent, pulls a third USB from her pocket, smaller, unmarked, but Emily knows it's vital. She takes the USB. Her fingers tremble as she plugs it into her laptop. The screen flickers. A video plays. James's voice, low and clear, comes through the speakers. "Emily," he says on screen, his face serious but sincere. "If you're seeing this, you've gone further than I expected. Helix is my dream, but it's been manipulated. Vaughn wasn't alone. There's someone higher, and they won't stop. Keep the kids safe. You're our last hope." The video ends. The screen goes dark, leaving Emily feeling like she's been plunged into a cold ocean. She looks at the three kids, Ethan now awake, sitting with Ella and Emma, their eyes full of trust. Her kindness that rainy night led her here, but it also made her the guardian of secrets that could change everything. She thinks of the threatening email, the black SUV in the lot, and Lydia's eyes, as if she knows something Emily hasn't seen. James may be an ally, but if he's playing a bigger game, she and the kids are caught in the crossfire. Emily stands, tucking the USB into her coat, determined to keep the kids safe. She checks the window. The blinds are drawn, but the light outside seems to dim, as if a shadow looms over Millfield. She turns back, smiling at the kids, her voice gentle but firm. "We'll be okay." But inside she knows the fight isn't over. Is James truly someone she can trust, or is his message just a door to a new maze? Darkness blankets Millfield, Ohio, but in Emily Harper's small apartment, the table lamp's light burns, like a flame of unyielding hope. She sits with Ella, Ethan, and Emma. The triplets sleep peacefully on the armchair, their faces calm after days of running and fear. The final USB, with James Carver's message, is a guiding torch, but also a warning of an unfinished battle. Emily defeated Vaughn, protected the truth about Project Helix, but the cost is a new threat, a faceless enemy, lurking behind James's cryptic eyes and the black SUV haunting the night. Emily's journey teaches us that kindness is never small. One decision to shelter 3 children pulled her into a dangerous maze but gave her the strength to change fate. She learned that truth, though painful, is the only light in the dark, and courage keeps her standing tall. But this story isn't over. A greater force waits, and Emily will face new challenges where loyalty and truth collide. Can she protect the kids and uncover Carver Tech's final secret? We want to hear from you. What do you feel about Emily's story? Does she have the strength to keep going? Comment if you want a part 2 of this story. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow along, and share your thoughts. Where are you watching from and when? We're thrilled to have you with us. Share this story with friends and family in the USA to feel the power of kindness and the quest for truth together.